love the phrase that we're looking for neutral taxation. It actually means no tax, by the way.
And actually, we now know where the money is. It's parked in these offshore havens.
You know, we're greedy. We're greedy people. We are in a battle with each other and our governments to survive.
A tax is a compulsory financial charge or some other type of levy imposed on its citizens and business entities based on their earnings and property by a governmental organization in order to fund government spending and various expenditures. From income tax to goods and services tax (GST), taxation applies to all levels. Without taxation, there will be no public libraries, parks, hospitals, and Arisya. According to Wikipedia, the first non-taxation took place in ancient Egypt around 3000 to 2800 before century and is mentioned in numerous historical sources. Tax practice continued to develop as Greek civilization overtook much of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East in the centuries leading up to the Common Era. In general, there are two types of tax, which is direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax is a tax on income and it covers tax like income tax, profits tax, and wealth tax on inheritance, while indirect tax is a tax on expenditure. This tax covers taxes like VAT, value-added tax, and excise duties such as tax on cigarettes, alcohol, and Arisya.
There are two types of taxes which are direct and indirect tax. Direct tax is a tax that is imposed on an individual or company income and wealth, while the indirect tax is the tax that exempted from the purchase of goods and services by an individual. Direct tax is paid directly to the government, while indirect tax is paid indirectly to the government. The legislative agency in charge of direct tax is Malaysia Inland Revenue Board (LHDN), while for the indirect taxes is Royal Malaysian Custom Department (RMCD). Example of direct taxes are such as income tax and real property gains tax, while indirect taxes is goods and services tax and service tax and sales tax.
When we talk about the tax system, it is often assumed that tax is a bad thing, like governments wanting to deprive citizens of their hard-earned money. But do people know that taxes are very important to society and also to the businesses? Without taxes, governments would be unable to meet the demands of their societies. Taxes are important because governments collect this money and use it to finance social projects. Some of these projects include health, education, and governance. Without taxes, government contribution to the health sector would be impossible. Taxes go to funding health services such as social health care and medical research. Education could be one of the most deserving recipients of tax money. Governments put a lot of importance in development of human capital, and education is central in this development. Money from taxes is channeled to maintaining the public education system. Governance is a most important component in the smooth running of country affairs. Poor governance would have impact outgrowth of economy. Good governance ensures that the money collected can give benefits to citizens of the country. This money also goes to pay public servants, members of parliaments, and others. For business to expand in the country, there has to be good infrastructures such as roads, telephones, and electricity. This infrastructure is developed by the governments. When governments collect money from taxes, it turns this money into development of this infrastructure and promotes economic activity throughout the country. Taxes also help raise the standard of living in a country. Apart from social projects and businesses, governments also use money collected from taxes to fund sectors that are crucial for the well-being of their citizens, such as security and scientific research.
This is a major source of funding for goods and services provided by governments and salaries paid to government workers. Without tax, there would be no public school, no public highway and no public hospital. However, tax system is one of the controversial economic issues. Some people argue that certain tax cause more harm than good, either by discouraging beneficial economic activities or unfairly reducing income flowing to workers. Tax system has potential to decrease consumer spending. In addition, lower consumer spending tends to decrease business revenue, which can put negative pressure on investment. Furthermore, business tax, payroll tax and property tax lead to an increase in the expenses of a business sector. Tax system is sometimes referred to redistribution of wealth because different people face different tax burden. For example, progressive tax system used by US impose a higher income tax rate on people with higher income and a lower income tax rate on people with lower income.
To foster economic growth and development, government needs sustainable sources of funding for social programs and public investments. Program providing health, education, infrastructure, and other services are important to achieve economic growth, goal of prosperous functionality and orderly society, and they require the government raise revenues. Taxation not only pays for public goods and services, but it is also key ingredients in the social contracts between citizens and the economy. How tax rates and spend can determine a government's very legitimacy. Holding governments accountable encourages the effective administration of tax revenue and, more rightly, good public and financial management. All government need revenue, but the challenge is to carefully choose not only the level of tax rates but also the tax base. Governments also need to design a tax compliance system that will not discourage taxpayers from participating. For example, during the novel COVID-19, government has considered the tax payment like in the listed above, taken from Malaysian country, updated in December 2020. So, do we need to pay the tax? Let's think together.